Hey, Rigsby here, and in today's episode, I want to talk about a quick look at what it takes to grow. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Fitness Business School podcast, the show for fitness business owners who want to grow their income, increase their impact, and improve their lifestyle. Be sure to listen till the end of this episode because we have a brand new special offer exclusive for listeners. So stay tuned.
In the last couple days, I had conversations with people that it reminded me of the disparity between business owners who are growing their business and owners who say they want to grow, but their behaviors and actions don't necessarily align with that professed goal or dream or whatever. And one of them is actually a former baseball player of mine. He and another former player of mine are partners in a behavioral health business. And in the last 4 years, they've grown to 17 locations. And it doesn't seem like growth is stopping. It seems like at this rate, they may very well get to triple digits in number of locations, depending on their path to growth. I mean, they probably have a number of avenues available to them, from corporately owned to franchising to whatever else. But when I was talking to the former player of mine yesterday, we spent some time together, and he was just talking about he had to drive. He lives in my hometown or around my hometown, about 3 hours from here where I live in Louisville. And he had to drive here. We were going to go do something together, and he was on the phone the entire way here making calls for work, and that was late afternoon. And then he said, look, I've got a bunch of calls to make on my way home. And so he was doing calls late in the evening on the way home. And he said, I even have, even though he's married, he's got 3 wonderful kids. He is very involved. I mean, coaches sports and everything else, but he also has an apartment 3 hours from his home where he has to go to do site visits at some of these other locations. And he is just relentlessly in meetings, on calls, doing to grow this stuff. And it is that kind of breakneck pace because he wants to build something big. He and the other people involved are really getting after it, opening new locations, navigating all sorts of stuff, from staffing challenges because the qualifications that they need somebody to have to hire them, to site build out and that sort of stuff, to just the daily operation of the business. And I think the easy path would have he had worked in that field. He had been a successful employee and certainly had forged a nice livelihood in that field. The easy path would have just been to stay the course and earn a nice living and have the security of that type of career and spend his time with his kids, who are all, I think, between the ages of 15 and 20, well before they are completely off into adulthood. He chose this more challenging path, and he's got to get after it. He makes time for the family stuff that's a priority, but it's a relentless kind of pursuit of this next kind of achievement. And then when I talked to Eric Cressy the other day for a podcast, we talked about the fact that he's got the facility in Florida that's growing by leaps and bounds, and they're going through an expansion that we talked about in a separate episode. He's got the facility that he's has in Massachusetts that was the origin of CSP. And that's maybe a little more hands-off because he's got a business partner and a great team there that do a lot of work. But he's also an employee of the Yankees that after we recorded a podcast on 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and then he had Yankees work to do after the podcast. And he's balancing all of that stuff, and balance is completely the wrong word, but he's juggling all of that stuff maybe with being a dad of 3 daughters and a husband, but he doesn't compromise doing what it takes. He does the things that are priorities, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's odd hours, and sometimes it's navigating things that maybe you're not incredibly excited about, like some of the construction work that they have to do to build this expansion for their facility. But that's the thing that I don't think that enough early or intermediate stage business owners, or even pre-open aspiring business owners, appreciate. They want what they see these people have. Plenty of people would say, man, I would love to have a business that has 17 locations. Imagine how much revenue they're doing and what that business would be worth if they were sold it or something like that. But they ever peek behind the curtain to see what it takes to build it, to operate it? Plenty of people would say, man, Cressy has this gorgeous facility in Florida and has this world-class indoor space. They've got outdoor field space. They are in a hotbed for the market they want to serve. Are they familiar with the fact that he started in the back of a batting cage and that he went through a variety of expansions and took a risk and moved his family 1,500 miles to an area that was completely new to them, away from their extended family, and dove in head first? And I think a lot of people lose sight of the fact that, man, he was up doing content. He's always been a guy that he'd be up doing content early in the morning before he'd be training sessions. And it's just one of those things that people like the end result, and they see the highlight reel, but they lose sight of what it takes to build it, and not just build it, but to operate it. There's something that can be a little daunting. I mean, I know that even when my former player talked about their business and saying they had 120 staff members, I'm like, man, I don't personally want to manage 120 staff members. And it's a lot, but you have to decide, okay, am I willing to do what it takes to have the things that I say I want to have? And if the answer is no, there's no shame in that, right? There are plenty of things that we decide that about all the time. There are plenty of things that say, hey, I would love to. For me, there were plenty of instances where I thought, man, I would have loved to have worked in the front office in professional baseball. But I also, after knowing some people who worked in that setting, I'm not sure that I would have enjoyed the lifestyle associated with that. I'm not sure that I would have enjoyed the constantly being on call for work stuff that I see so many people experience with that. Maybe it sounded like a fun job until you see that, man, there's a lot more to the job than meets the eye. So when you're identifying what your goals are for your business, identify what you're willing to invest to achieve those goals. Identify what you're willing to put in to build this, and understand that there's a building process for every person that you see, like a Doug Sperling that has built a business that largely operates independent of his day-to-day action. There's a decade of Doug Sperling building that type of business and going through the work and the hoops and the risk and the stress to get to that point. And that's fine. I mean, I think that most really significant things require commitment and sacrifice and effort. You have to decide if you're willing to make that kind of effort to have the things you want to have. Because if not, and you are going to be frustrated and disappointed because you're going to have expectations that just aren't able to be met with the effort that you're putting in.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fitness Business School. Before you go, I have a quick announcement. One of the things that we've been doing with our current clients is taking them through this ideal business diagnostic. And really what it is, this checklist that allows you to pinpoint exactly what your business needs next so you can keep improving, keep growing, and build a business that you love to own. One that pays you well, one that allows you to have the impact you want to have, and one that allows you to have a lifestyle that you truly enjoy. In this diagnostic, we walk through everything and we do an evaluation and can instantly pinpoint what you need to do next to build that business that you want. I'm going to extend this opportunity to get on with either me or my team and take you through this evaluation and fix your business's most vital needs fast. So if we take you through this, you're going to be able to make those vital changes that you need to finally have what I call your ideal business. If you'd be interested in going through this entirely free, risk-free diagnostic with us and learn what you already have in place, what you're doing well, and where your greatest opportunities for rapid improvement are, just shoot me an email with diagnostic in the subject line to pat@patrigsby.com. Again, an email to pat@patrigsby.com with diagnostic in the subject line will get you scheduled and take you through this evaluation to help you build the business you want.